how to achieve inevitable success in 90 days. Because the thing is, you've put in the work and the hours and the effort, and it's time for you to receive that breakthrough. Whether you're looking to land your dream job, get the promotion, build the business, scale the business, and overall achieve life expansion in 90 days. This video is absolutely for you, and I'm so excited, so let's just start. The interesting thing about success to me is that there's so many definitions of success. To somebody who grew up the way that I did, success is getting a stable job at a reputable firm and making sure that you tick the check boxes of what an Asian adult should look like. But for others, success may be making a successful debut. For others, success is living in the ocean water and having a peaceful, well-balanced life. Success is different to everybody depending on how they view it. And the reason why we fail to receive that inevitable success is because our definition of success is not truly ours, but you've adopted somebody else's definition of success. So the thing is, somebody who loves to swim in the ocean water, their priority when it comes to lifestyle is to have a beautiful balance in life. Somebody who grew up having to, like myself, having to nurture the family's reputation because that's just how society amongst Asians are. It's kind of like success is like, this is a trophy. It's about status and reputation, family reputation. So therefore, getting a job at a bank or somewhere with a nice title like Google, Combank kind of thing is what success means to a lot of the people in the ecosystems that I grew up in this one. And for an athlete or an artist, success looks something like a breakthrough debut, a breakthrough win. It depends. And if you don't know what your definition of success is, you're not going to achieve inevitable success because you're going to follow somebody else's path that is set for you. So you first need to define what your priority in life is. And the thing is, you might not even know because you might be in your 20s or your 30s and your 40s and you don't really know at this particular stage what success is to you. But you want to get a rough idea of where the good feeling leads to. So for example, I feel really good when I'm balanced. I feel really good when I'm balanced and nobody is telling me what to do. So if I have to keep up my family reputation back in the days and constantly receive advices that are not in alignment with where I'm going long term, that is failure to me, even if I graduated from a prestigious university. And then all you get is when you go to family meetings, it's like, oh my God, like you've done so well, you've graduated from Sydney Uni. Oh, congratulations. To me, I don't feel successful because it's not aligned with where I truly want to go. And there are times in my life where I finally know who I was and what I truly prioritize. And I found that I don't really care about achieving milestones by a certain age, but I truly care about growth every single year. And if growth means that I'm behind by society standards, but as long as I'm internally growing, then that is success to me. So I want you to have a look at this iceberg. So this is the ocean water. This is the tip of the iceberg where we see people succeeding. And then this is like beneath the ocean water. So this is the ocean water. And what we tend to see on things like Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook, and when people post relationship milestones and marriage milestones and all that kind of thing, is you see like, you know, let's say marriage by 30. You see things like job promotion. You see things like, I don't know, making money, party, anniversary, at the tip of other people's icebergs. So when you see these things, like what you also see are things like success. But what we're seeing outer success. But the thing is, there's a lot of crap inside the process of achieving success. And if you're not having the correct definition of success for your life, this iceberg could either be very, very polluted or it can be clean. And when I say polluted, if you're prioritizing like milestones that are not in alignment with your true life goals, then the bottom part is like, there's a lot of anxiety. And then there's a lot of pressure. And there's just like a lot of self-inflicted pain. So therefore, instead of us having the bottom of our icebergs be comprised of anxiety, pressure, and self-inflicted pain because we're trying to achieve other people's definition of success, the first thing that we have to do is make sure that we know what the tip of our icebergs would look like for us. But the thing is, you don't prioritize showing this off to anyone, but you want to do it for yourself, how you want to reward yourself. Let's just say that finally you're gifting yourself the privilege of experiencing success on your own term. This iceberg is going to look something like this. It's going to look like prosperity on your own term. And it's going to look like things like abundance. But it's interesting because I looked at the definition of abundance yesterday on Google, and it says overflow with, you know, anything, not just money. But let's just say you want an overflow of happiness, growth, as well as things like fulfillment, satisfaction. But as a byproduct of you feeling internally fulfilled, satisfied, you have an abundance of material things too. Material things like beautiful, lavish experiences, beautiful vacations, beautiful things to use, like beautiful car, beautiful dress. So you also have like material things. So this is all like in one thing. This is the tip of your iceberg. So therefore, in order for us to literally manifest inevitable success that looks like success on our own terms in 90 days, the bottom part that makes up the success, the roots, it has to be filled with beliefs, conviction, perception, mental attitude, decisions, habits, and that identity of somebody who is in alignment with this goal. So therefore, in here, you must fill your mind with prosperous thoughts. You must then fill your mind with abundant thought. So then your inner dialogue and everything has to go towards things like self-empowerment. And so then the root that makes up your external success, it also has to be filled with things like positive self-discipline. Because there's a very big difference between neurotic kind of self-discipline, and then there's charging your life with very positive life force that discipline feels fun, easy, and you're winning. So then if we get these icebergs correct, it is inevitable that whether the actual thing that your ego wants, like 120 grand Google job, like 6 to 7 figure business, like a job promotion. As long as you get these icebergs correct, the roots of what you're planting in the seed of your success, this is just like, you know when you go and buy things? Like for example, you go and buy an earphone, but then when you get an earphone, you also get a gift card. The thing that you wanted to buy was the earphone, but they top up your experience with a gift card. You want to get to the point where these things is so normal to you that it's like an extra gift card. And that's how you're gonna experience having it and keeping it long term, because it's not on a pedestal. Because who is truly on the pedestal of this entire journey is you. And all these things that we're trying to achieve and strive towards is just a gift card. It's an extra, it's a top up. It's not the main thing. The main thing is you. And that's why we're gonna get to the next point. So let's go. The interesting thing about our journey to success is that we're here, and let's just say that success looks like climbing a mountain. And like when you climb this Mount Everest, and this is where the money lies, your term of abundance, material abundance, whether it's your dream home, your dream vacation, your dream job, material abundance is up here. And all I'm trying to say is that if you are somebody who doesn't have the capacity to be of match to this thing, you can climb as hard as you want, as long as you want, and you will still receive what you are vibrationally resonant to. Whereas if in the internal world, you internally, before you enter a battle, as Sun Tzu says, you have to win the war before you even enter the battle. You must take the elevator up internally and experience internally the feeling of already sitting on top of this mountain and getting your material abundance, despite how it's going to work out in the physical reality. So in the physical reality, this version of you is like your human, like the egoic self. And the thing is, your egoic self is limited to the physical senses. So you're gonna think that in order for me to climb all the way up here, I have to take 10,000 painful steps, which is what I used to think all the time. And if we compare 10,000 steps to the real life things that my human self used to think I have to do to achieve success, that kind of looks like I have to create this many content to go viral, which not really. I have to know these people and know this founder and know this CEO to be successful, not really. I have to work this many hours and get this qualified to receive validation and credibility in the industry so I can make more money, not really. It might be part of the plan, but that's not the human self, the egoic self to figure out. So the minute that you enter this battle to success, as this version of you who is finite and internally, you don't really experience what it feels like to sit at the top of the mountain. You're gonna use the finite self to then painfully climb each step. And the interesting thing is, like when I swim, there's a beautiful way to glide with the ocean water and still achieve literally 1,500 meters easily. And for years, I've been doing like really painful short strokes that makes it really painful for me to reach 1,500 meters sustained. And that's the same with climbing the mountain. If you're going at it from your small self, you're gonna start finding routes that are just painfully hard. So you're gonna start encountering all these rocks and bumps and all these randomness because you haven't won internally before you started. So therefore, whatever you're trying to achieve, the job at Google, the 6-figure, 7-figure business, it has to somewhat be normal to you before it lands in the reality. But then I used to ask myself, yeah, but how do you normalize having that much money when I don't have it? And that's the thing. You've got to commit to prioritizing your higher self to live predominantly with you. Because the thing is, majority of us prioritize living with our lower self, our egoic self. The self that overanalyzes gets anxious and it's just micromanaging every how. How am I gonna do it? Yeah, with what money? But how though? How? But your higher self has the answers. And you know this when you're put on the spot to execute a speech, you're put in this pressuring environment to do the interview well. But if you say, I'm getting the job, or you say, my speech is gonna be successful, somehow like your body, yourself figures itself out. That's you accessing the portal to your higher self. And this also happens to me when I swim as well. Sometimes I'll find myself, it's like, but how do I do this, the strokes, and avoid all this swell? But once you access that higher self where you say, I'm going to the finish line no matter what, the body will figure itself out how to do it. So therefore, when you take the elevator up to this place, this version of you, the way that they see themselves, whether that is mental attitude, their predominant emotions, their decision, their perception, all these things combine, their expectation, their habits, everything that goes on internally in their self-concept, it's of match to the world that they want to enter. So you can have all this in resonance with this level 1, but you're trying to ascend to level 10 right here. So therefore, all of this has to match level 10 before you take the first step in the physical reality. That's why if you attempt to do sales call from a place of not having the sales closed, it's hard. People ask you, let me think about it. Let me ask my wife, let me ask my husband. Not really sure, can I get your brochure? When you go to job interview, it's like, let me think about it for a second. You know, we have a lot of candidates. Let me just get back to you in a few days and never get back to you. And the lose didn't happen from the time they rejected you. The loss already happened before you entered the interview or the sales call. So that's why it's so crucial that you don't discourage yourself even more by doing anything as this version of you. Let her be. Let her be. Let her just, be in the other parallel reality. But in this reality that you want to experience, you must enter the vibrational state, the state of your best self, who is predominantly feeling secure, feeling relieved, feeling reassured, and they have the thing. So no matter if you have or don't have the thing in the reality later on, it doesn't sway your sense of self, because as long as you have a strong anchor, things are drawn to you. And that's where we're going to get to the second point. Are you ready for it? Okay. The next thing that we have to know how to do is physically prepare. Now, in all my other videos, I talked about how you can literally get into a relaxed alpha state. Whether that is you about to doze off to sleep, whether that is you doing a long swim like I used to. I mean, I still do it, but I used to literally do the long swims to get into my alpha state, to rewire my subconscious back in the day. Whether that is you doing a heavy workout to the point where you're in a flow state and it's like building this momentum and your brain suddenly becomes like non-reactive. Whether that is you doing a long walk, like 5 kilometers walk, and you get into this space of the no mind. When you are in the space of the no mind, your subconscious is very easily impressed. So whatever you want to plant into your mind while you're in that state, I've received my job offer. I've received my win. People acknowledge me. Or like the clients finally signed the deal with me. I'm so grateful. Once you're in that state, then physical preparation is needed. But the thing is, a lot of us tend to prepare in a way that is not congruent to the goal. So let's just say that we're operating as our lower self. What I used to do when I present these job interview workshops, and I used to do this quite a lot, like many times, and I always talked about the person who is frantic about getting a job. I totally understand that people are in different situations and sometimes you need the job to survive. But the thing is, when you're taking action from this version of you who's mentally weak, not in a way where I'm shaming that it's weak, but you're not calibrated towards holding the things that you want. What happens is, if you're trying to get a job, you're going to start sending out a bunch of resume, like 100 resume. And you're not going to personalize that resume to fit the company. Or if you're frantic, like I used to be for years, operating as this version of me, you might send out like thousands of DMs. I sent out 100 LinkedIn DMs in one day, and I got no discovery calls because I was taking action as the frantic version of me, the egoic version of me who's like, if you want to get discovery calls, then go take action and DM 100 people on LinkedIn. It didn't work for me. So that's why when you physically prepare and you got yourself every day in the alpha brainwave state and you start to flood your subconscious with the vivid experience of winning, the vivid experience of finally feeling satisfaction and receiving that juicy feeling like, yes, it's mine. Once you vividly experience this with every cell of your body, your mind, your heart, and the way you talk to yourself is like, I finally got it. It wasn't that hard. Oh, wow, it was interesting. And you have it. Naturally, you're going to start elevating. But the thing is, once your inner self elevates, you have to execute on the action. Because then every single energy that is like the intuition that's guiding you to take action, it's going to be kind of excess potential. Or it's going to be unused energy. So you have to, the minute that the energy forms and you're elevating, you have to execute on whatever your higher self is telling you to execute. So there'll be really random things like, go talk to X. So a lot of times when it comes to getting a job that you want, I find that meeting people in real life and having people come to you, seeing your LinkedIn, seeing your potential, and having the opportunity to have coffee with them in real life and have them recommend you to the people in the industry is so much easier than going through 100 plus outreach for your resume to get filtered immediately by AI. And then it never gets to the key decision maker. So no matter how experienced you are, the machine has already filtered you out because you're acting from the version of you who believes that you have to do that to even get an interview. Whereas if you elevate your consciousness, what happens is that you're going to start getting these really random guides that you normally wouldn't take. So for me at the time, I would have things like post this on LinkedIn, literally. And at the time I was 25, so nobody at that age with that very little experience would dare to do that on LinkedIn, would dare to make videos and post that onto LinkedIn a lot. Maybe some people will, but I thought at the time it was just not many people willing to do that. And you might, if you are trying to do your business, you might even have this intuition like, attend this workshop. So recently, I really wanted clarity on what to do next. I know that I have a lot of skill that I stacked over the years. I know that I'm ready to succeed again, but I just want guidance on how to properly execute what I'm trying to do. And I want guidance from the real deal. And then one day I fell asleep in the wish fulfilled state that I have the exact career that I want. I have the earnings that I want. I have the clients that I want. Everything is right in my life, finally. And then this YouTube ad that I kept seeing every time I'm about to watch YouTube. I see these gentlemen talking. I'm just really annoyed because like, just stop selling is my opinion. But I didn't know that that was my lower self talking and filtering things through skepticism. But then because I kept accessing this higher self where I go into my subconscious before bed and when in a relaxed state and I'm like, I have what I want. I have the life that I want. Suddenly I felt compelled to go to this workshop from the ad, on the YouTube ad. So I was like, I don't really trust them or anything, but I'm just gonna go and see the vibe. It shouldn't be that bad. So I registered for the workshop. And within 10 minutes of attending, I was like, well, this guy's the real deal. Holy crap. This is the person I've always looked for mentorship. But for like 5 years, this person never entered my orbit. I never know of him. He doesn't know of me. It's like I wasn't vibrationally prepared to receive mentorship from real deal people because I was operating as this egoic version of me. So the minute you surrender to your ego and you go to your higher self, you will have these like really weird intuitions, like just go and attend this workshop. And the thing is, I didn't attend once. I attended 3 times. 3 times I attended from 9 to 6 p.m. And every time I'm going back to attend it, the second time, the third time, I ask myself, how can I improve my listening towards it? I don't need more information. I know so many things. But now it's about how can you do it better? How can I listen better? How can I engage better? To the point where I was then picked for a live demo and I was gifted the free access. Anyway, that's a big, major win to me, meaning that the deal is done. Like I fell into a sleep, feeling like I have the answers. And in the end, the answers came to me and I'm going to get amazing support from the person I want support from. And to me, that is one example of receiving a big milestone for me. It was a big win for me. So therefore, the minute that you keep practicing the muscle memory of getting so good at listening to your higher self, you'll have so many like weird, like go do this, go to this place on this day. But the thing is, the minute that you receive this intuition, whether that is even things like go swim 1,000 meters this day, wake up at 4 a.m., get on the bus at 4:30, get there by 6:30, start swimming at 8 a.m., whatever. And you listen to yourself. So then you get out of the way and then your weak self will be like, why would I do it like this? Why would I get up at 4 a.m. to go do this? But your higher self knows the answers because she's there. Now you're accessing everything from the end. So that's why Neville Goddard says you live in the end state. Because now you're starting your beginning from the end. So then, no matter what this version of you tells you to do, you must listen to her, listen to him, and do as she or he says immediately. Because once you do it, every time, right? So let's just say like, this is the journey to 90 days. And there are multiple portals that you have to break through before you get to this exponential point. Basically, I feel like before you get to this point where you're just ascending really, really fast and really high, you have to transmit your old self to go through these portals. So this portal is you swim 1,000 meters. I kept getting guided to do that. Just do it, like just wake up at this day, go this day, this weather that day, go that day. And at the time, everyone, like my parents were like, why are you doing this in winter? It's dangerous, it's cold, it's too early, don't do it. But I listened to my higher self and she says, do it today. I do it today. So then I open the portal. But if you don't open the portal, then you kind of stay in this reality. So this is reality 1. Okay. But once you open the portal, now you're going to reality 2. Reality 2 says, now can you please attend this workshop? But not once, 3 times. Attend the workshop 3 times. And I guarantee that you will open the next portal. So now you've unlocked portal 1 and portal 2, reality 1. So now you've leveled up to reality 2. Now you want to go to portal 3, which is, okay, after you do the swim, build the muscle memory to discipline, and now you're going to attend the workshop, now you got the mentorship, now act upon this next. Go film the YouTube video, which I'm doing right now. So now the portal 3 to get to reality 3 is that I have to film the YouTube video. So workshop, and now I'm filming this. And I was literally guided, okay, by this whiteboard, get these markers, go get that hard drive, do this, do that. I was constantly guided. And at the time I was like, should I really go to office work today with my dad? Like, nah. But my higher self said, go today and make a decision this week to get the whiteboard. So we did. And my dad helped out, so it was really, really nice. And everything just fell into place. But anyway, that aside, I then got to work and I started filming. Now at this point, I can still hear my lower self, and she's like, why are you doing this? Don't do this, don't do that. I don't listen to lower self. I listen to my higher self who says, go do this, film 6, 7, 8 videos ahead of time before you publish. I'm doing that right now. Once you successfully do as you say, and that may include sacrificing your weekend. So for me, I'm not going out, I'm doing this. But once you do it successfully, another portal opens. And that is the breakthrough. So I'm trying to say is that if you want to achieve your big success, whether that's 120 grand job with Google, or you want to make 6, 7 figure in your business, there are a few portals that you have to open to the alternative timeline where you have the thing in the physical reality. But if you don't get good at physically preparing for it by going through all these portals so that you can finally ascend to where you want to be, where that is, then you're going to keep hovering in this reality 1, where if you can't even win against reality 1, how do you get to reality 2, then reality 3? And you might say, no, but I don't have to go through all these realities to get to. It's kind of like baking a cake. You kind of have to make the sponge cake and the whipped cream and stack it to make it a beautiful cake. So once you get good at physically preparing yourself for it, no matter what it takes, no matter that is, maybe go do 30 push-ups. I don't know why, but just do it, because it is the right way to help you prepare physically your muscle, your mental muscle, your physical muscle to hold the big win, so that when success lands, you don't break down like the way that I used to, where once too much came in, I couldn't hold it. Chairman offered me a job 20 minutes into the conversation, and I never had to give him my resume, while my old ecosystem also was like, but I gotta send these resumes to all these people. I have one conversation, I get offered a job out of nowhere. And that was way too much for my nervous system. I was like, why do I even deserve it? Why am I here? What did I do right? It was confusing. And I eventually self-sabotaged and lost it all because I didn't open the portals properly, and I didn't stack my wins properly to receive the success, which leads to the third and final point. So let's go. The final thing that I want to share with you in terms of inevitable success is understanding how to use cheat codes. And this is not about cheating, but it's about making things efficient, doing it the smart way, doing it the clever way, so that you don't have to work 10,000 hours to get half the pay kind of thing. Because I've been in that reality for so many years. And that's because kind of like I used to like playing games, and my brother is better at winning the games. And that's because when he loses, he goes to the manual and he searches up how other people win the game. So he takes the cheat code to win. Well, I'm just so frustrated. Why can't I pass this level 2 of the game? Well, the difference is that you can access cheat codes. The cheat code in this case is having a high baseline. And this is so interesting because we tend to forget that Reality is not about efforting harder for the job or efforting harder for the success, because what I learned about money eventually is that whether you're waiting for somebody to approve of you of getting a 120 grand salary at Google, basically you receive that pay per annum through somebody's yes. So somebody has to approve the decision, maybe multiple people at multiple stages. But if you can influence every person you come across at every stage to approve of the yes, then you get paid. And that, process of getting people to approve of the decision, the pay, the yes, it doesn't require you to run a marathon, although it can be part of the process of you preparing your muscle, your mental muscle, and your physical muscle to receive it. But so many of us assume that we have to take so many brute force action and be like a military, like a warrior to get what we want. And then when I went about it the wrong way, I kept getting half, I kept getting quarters of what I wanted, fractions of the manifestation. I'm like, should I just settle for this then? Because I don't deserve the entire pie. But the thing is, this is how you're gonna get the entire pie in 90 days. So the old version of you, who is your egoic self, no matter what they do, their baseline is here. And this baseline I'm drawing is their consciousness. Once your consciousness is operating at this level, the caliber, let's just say that this is $1 million. And I don't know, this is somewhere unideal, 100. If every cell of your body is calibrated towards only holding $100, and you can interpret $100 in many directions, but to this day and age in 2026, $100 is not worth a lot. Back in the day, it was. When I was a child, when I got that green note, $100 is a lot. But these days, $100 is nothing. You can spend it on a meal, you can spend it on half a day. It's just very little value. If your caliber is at 100, no matter what action you take to get to $1 million, everything that you do, whether that is 100 DMs, 1,000 DMs, networking with this person, being friends with that person, working 100 hours per week, creating this many content, locking yourself in, discipline, focus, everything from this version of you who's calibrated to 100. It doesn't go beyond this. And you know what's worse? Because usually we don't just stay up. Our frequencies oscillate. So when you dip, it's a low dip. It's bad. Just like I used to dip. So therefore, if your baseline is low, when you try to go higher, you're stuck. But then when you go low, when you dip, it's really low. And I hated being that phase of my life for many years. So that's why instead of us trying to effort by calibrating at a low baseline, you must make sure that you take the elevator up to let's just say a high baseline. And you're starting from here, okay? So let's just say both versions of you want this beautiful 1 million prize. Both of you want to go here. The thing is, the version of you who's calibrating here, or the number of steps that you have to take to get from here to here is probably 500 steps. But if you're calibrating here like I used to for years, even if you try to take all these steps, it's like at this point you're burning out. You're meeting the wrong people, there's obstacles everywhere, and you're jumbled up all over the place, and it's just, you never reach it. So therefore, you must make the journey easier for you by getting your baseline correct. So what I mean by that is, by getting your baseline correct, it means that your mental attitude, your decisions, your habit, your belief in everything You must set it at a point where the day that you start dipping, you will not dip below this baseline. Because the problem is that we think that if we are a high achiever like myself, we're never gonna dip. But the thing is, our life is like, it's always up and down. So therefore, in order for us to get to this beautiful goal of whatever it is that you want, you have to make sure that for every single dip that you take on your journey to success, here, the dip, dip, you're still dipping at a place where it's easy for you to bounce back up. But if you ever let yourself spiral down here, holy crap, getting up there is just insane human power that is not possible. When you elevate your consciousness already, the internal elevation, already you lifted off 50% of the work by internally preparing for your success. And then once you take the physical action along with it, whether that is probably following your intuition that, okay, you got to set a gym schedule like this, probably work out on this day, probably go for a walk on this day, read this book this day, and you act upon it, and you stack the wins correctly and compound it correctly, then what happens is that naturally your nervous system, your mental, your heart, the cell of your body is going to feel familiar with operating at a high baseline. So then your sad day, your bad days where you're dipping, whether you're waking up at 2 p.m. and you eat too much, or you get a fine like I did, I got a $200 fine out of nowhere, and all these things come up because your consciousness is operating at a higher point. You don't dwell in that dip for way too long, and it's easy for you to get up from it. So that's why you don't want to depend your self-worth on, oh my God, the job and the money. It's not about the outer thing that you grasp for. But the thing you need to prioritize is to make sure that no matter what happens, broke, not broke, money, no money, your inner world that you can have 100% control over is always calibrating at a point that is easier for you to reach the goal. So please just do yourself a favor and don't take 10,000, a million steps to your goal, but you internally raise your baseline, your decisions, your action, your discipline, so that when the time comes where the goal is here, it's so easy. It's just a few more steps and you're there. But the interesting thing about baseline is that, again, it has to be familiar. So to make something familiar to you, you have to put in the reps. And that is, internal reps, but for me, external rep matters a lot. So for me to normalize the feeling of swimming 1,000 meters every week in winter, my body has to feel normal to holding pain, but not in a way where it's overly painful, but my body is calibrated towards that kind of temperature. So then there comes a time last year where I was doing a cold plunge and I did 4 reps. On the second rep, I did 10 minutes in the cold plunge, then another 6 minutes, another 5 minutes. And I didn't burn out, I didn't crash, I didn't get sick. And that's because prior to the cold plunge, I've been swimming so many times in the cold weather, 1,000 meters, and also pushing to 2,000 meters, to the point where when it comes to the time where I want to reach something that feels a bit insane, my whole cell, my mental, the way I meditate during the cold plunge, and the body is ready to receive the bigger thing, which is 10 minutes. And that's the same with holding money, because at times we think that we're going to be so happy when we manifest big money. But the thing is, when the big money comes, but you don't know where to allocate it, it's a shock to your nervous system. So then if you prepare yourself to receive it by raising your inner worth as well, what happens is that when your inner worth is high, no matter what comes to you, you don't feel a big sway. You don't get overly excited or you don't overly dip. And that's why your baseline is high, because you are stable. And I think Lao Tzu has a quote that I don't exactly remember line by line, but Lao Tzu says that the stairway to success and the stairway to failure are equally dangerous because both can be shaky. As long as you're on the stair and you're climbing either up or down, you are shaky. But what you want to prioritize when the thing comes to you is inner stability. And inner stability means that the distance from you to the success, you oscillate as least as possible. Whereas if you're operating this 100 caliber and you attempt, it's going to be so chaotic. So therefore, give yourself permission to not have to go through all the chaos that you don't need to go through on this journey. Give yourself permission, please. And that is it. It's about prioritizing you as the pedestal and not the Google job or the sales in 90 days or after that. It's about prioritizing you and the way you feel about yourself, your inner stability, your high baseline, and making sure that you take as least step as possible and make the journey as smooth as you can internally so that when the external throws you BS and rejections and all these obstacles, waiting periods, ghosting, all these things, internally you're like, yeah, but my baseline is high. So you can ghost me if you want. I'm not gonna dip that low. And then when you dip like a little bit, it's easier. It's so much easier to take the step and get what you want and be of match to the things that you want. So I'm also gonna be opening up a coaching service soon. And the link to the waitlist will be down below. And my purpose is to help high achieving women reach their tipping points in 8 to 12 weeks by raising the inner worth ceiling, just like this. So if you are interested and that sounds like you, get in touch with me and hopefully we can meet each other and get to know each other. Okay, thank you very much and see you soon. Bye-bye.